This is a statement from Donald Trump, quote, "We have completed our very successful attack on the 3 nuclear sites in Iran," etc. I agree. And I want to tell you something. Not only is this news that I've just heard this second alarming, that all of you have just heard.
Welcome back to Right View Nation, where truth doesn't need permission and patriotism still matters. Today, we've got a bombshell moment, literally and politically. The left is in full meltdown mode after President Trump reportedly launched a successful strike on Iranian nuclear sites. And right on cue, we're seeing the same tired outrage machine kick into high gear. Now hold up, this isn't about warmongering or partisan cheerleading. This is about what's constitutional, what's smart, and what actually serves the American people. Let's get into it.
This is a statement from Donald Trump, quote, "We have completed our very successful attack on the 3 nuclear sites in Iran," etc. I agree. And I want to tell you something. Not only is this news that I've just heard this second alarming, that all of you have just heard, but it is so grossly unconstitutional. All of you know that the only entity that can take this country to war is the U.S. Congress. The President does not have the right I was talking a moment ago about the fact that we are living in one of the most difficult moments in the modern history of this country, and Trump just made it that much more difficult. That's just another burden we're going to have to carry, and that's just another message we're going to have to get out all over this country. The American people do not want more war, more death. You know, it might be a good idea if we concentrated on the problems that exist in Oklahoma and Vermont, rather than getting involved in another war that the American people do not want. Let me just say this, that in the midst of all of what is going on, what is enormously important is that we do not give up on a vision of where this country must go. What the establishment wants you to believe is that you have no power, that you can't accomplish anything. They have it all, nothing you could do. And in this moment in American history, what we have got to do in Vermont and Oklahoma, in Texas, all over this country, is stand up and fight back and tell them this is our country. And I don't care if you are a progressive, a moderate, or a conservative. This country belongs to all of us, not just a handful of billionaires. And when we look out into the future, the kind of America we want, let's understand a few things. Number one, instead of giving tax breaks to billionaires, we should demand they start paying their fair share of taxes. No, we should not be throwing 16 million Americans off the health care they have. We should be doing what every other major country does, guarantee health care to all as a human right. This is not a radical idea. It exists in virtually every other wealthy country. The function of a rational health care system is not to make hundreds of billions for the drug companies and the insurance companies. It's to provide quality care to all. When we look into the future, we must demand that every worker in America earns a decent wage, raise the minimum wage to at least $17 an hour. We can create millions of good-paying jobs by union jobs, by building 5 million units of low-income and affordable housing. Not a radical idea to say that in a competitive global economy, every young person in this country, regardless of income, should have the right to get a higher education. We can and must make public colleges and universities, community colleges, trade schools, tuition free. And when we talk about freedom, and many of my colleagues talk about freedom every day, well, what freedom means, among other things, is that every woman in this country has a right to control her own body. And let me just say this. These are tough times, and you just heard 5 minutes ago, going to be even tougher. But in the midst of all of that, not just for our lives, but more importantly for our kids and our grandchildren, we have got to understand that despair is not an option. That's what they want us to believe. None of us have the privilege of hiding under the covers. The stakes are just too high. And I would like to remind all of you, a short history lesson, that throughout the history of this country, what we have always seen.
So according to this dramatic video moment, President Trump initiated a targeted strike on 3 nuclear sites in Iran. Naturally, the room erupts, gasps echo, and the speaker, clearly from the left, goes on an emotional rant about war powers, constitutionality, and impending doom. Let's be clear, every president in recent history, Democrat or Republican, has engaged in military operations without a formal declaration of war. Clinton in Kosovo, Obama in Libya, Biden with drone strikes in Syria. So let's stop pretending that Trump is rewriting the Constitution. Now, do I think Congress should have a greater role in authorizing military force? Absolutely. But this selective outrage every time Trump uses executive power shows exactly what this is: political theater. When Biden uses drones, crickets. But when Trump defends American interests, suddenly it's a constitutional crisis. Let's address the bigger issue. Americans are tired of endless wars. That's not left-wing propaganda. That's real. And to be fair, the speaker makes some points worth noting. We've spent trillions overseas while cities like Detroit and Baltimore crumble. We send money to foreign regimes while veterans sleep on park benches back home. But here's where they lose me, blaming Trump alone for what's clearly a long-term failure of bipartisan globalism. You think Iran's nuclear program just appeared under Trump? You think foreign policy disasters began in 2016? No, this mess was inherited from Bush, Obama, Clinton, all of them. If the left really wants to prevent future wars, how about supporting energy independence, border security, and a strong military deterrent so we don't have to use force? Peace through strength works. It's not just a slogan. Now the speaker goes into a full-throated populist speech, claiming the country doesn't belong to the billionaires, that every worker deserves a $17 minimum wage, that college should be free, and that healthcare should be a right. Look, I'm not against making life better for the average American. But let's talk facts. You can't raise wages, erase tuition, and give universal healthcare without asking, who's paying for all this? The same people crying about the billionaires are also the ones whose policies drive small businesses into the ground and flood the labor market with illegal immigration. We don't need more dependency. We need opportunity. And guess what? You create opportunity by unleashing American innovation, cutting red tape, and putting America first, not by taxing job creators out of existence. Yes, healthcare in this country is broken. But the idea that we should nationalize it completely because other countries do it is lazy thinking. Do you really want the DMV running your hospital? Do you want the same people who managed COVID lockdowns and botched VA care to control every doctor-patient relationship? And don't even get me started on freedom, meaning abortion on demand. You want to talk about freedom? How about freedom to keep your paycheck, freedom to run your business without the government breathing down your neck, freedom to raise your kids with your values, not some woke ideology force-fed in public schools. Let's redefine freedom the right way, through responsibility, faith, and the Constitution. That's the kind of radical this country actually needs. Now I'll give the speaker credit for this. They said despair is not an option. And they're right. But the solution isn't more government. It's more citizens. Citizens who care. Citizens who vote. Citizens who stand up for common sense, constitutional values, and yes, real freedom. This isn't about Trump worship. It's about truth. It's about power returning to the people. It's about holding all politicians accountable, not just the ones CNN tells you to hate. So when they scream about war, remember, they were silent when Biden armed the Taliban. When they rage about billionaires, remember, they take money from big tech. When they cry for health care, remember, they opposed every free market solution. The future of this country isn't going to be won by rage. It'll be won by resolve. That's why you're here. That's why this community exists. If you believe in defending America with facts, not fear, hit that like button. Drop a comment. Do you think Trump's strike was justified or reckless? Subscribe to Right View Nation and join the fight to take our country back, one truth at a time. God bless you. God bless our troops. And God bless the United States of America. Right View Nation, where America still comes first.